धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेते युद्ध्वा मामकः पांडवश्चैव किम अकुर्वता संजय. Translation: Rashtra said, "O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?" So this is like Dhritarashtra. This is the very beginning, and he's with his secretary, very loyal secretary Sanjaya, and he had the spiritual vision. So let's see what Prabhupada explains. So So Prabhupada gives a background history to this thing. That So the history is that within the same family, royal family, there was a dispute who would occupy that throne. Now, now Dhritarashtra was the eldest son of king. Dhritarashtra was the eldest son of the king, and next was his brother Pandu. So, as is customary in every rule in every country, that the eldest child, whether male or female, would occupy the throne. And we have in Europe and in England, we have had females also occupying throne. There was this Queen Elizabeth, and then there was this Queen Victoria, and then there is another Queen Elizabeth, the recent one. But in India, we didn't have women with such right. They didn't initially. They didn't occupy the throne. We have had exception during um, British rule when we were ruled, and we have many freedom fighters Rani of Jhansi. She came to power, but otherwise we have not had women ruling the royal throne in the ancient time in India. So the general regulation was that men would occupy the throne. Now, although mother of Pandus, the Queen Kunti, she was very qualified lady. But still, after the death of her husband, she always remained with the sons. And sons were going to the forest. Um, she also went along with them, and so did Draupadi, the wife of Pandavas. So, in this royal family, there was two parties: Dhritarashtra, the eldest son, and who was blind by birth, bodily defective, and therefore he was not awarded the throne. The next was the younger brother Pandu, who was offered the throne, but because of some health and he died young at a very early age. So when these Pandus, the five sons, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, Sahadeva, they were very small children. They were taken care by the Rashtra, who was the elderly member of that joint family, and then other family members like Bhishma Deva. Now, Bhishma Deva was the grandfather of the Pandavas. He was also the elder uncle of Dhritarashtra, and Bhishma was elder brother of Dhritarashtra's father. So he was very old, and as we know, he had this boon from his father that he could die when at his will, whenever he wanted to. So he ruled anyway. I mean, he was part of the family taking care. Um, and actually, the kingdom belonged to Bhishma Deva, but he remained a brahmachari and he did not get married. He did not get married. Never married. So, as per his vow, he did not inherit the royal throne. So, therefore, his nephews Dhritarashtra and Pandu were the inheritor in line. Now, after Pandu's death, um, there was this problem, this conspiracy. Dhritarashtra, although blind, he wanted that actually this is his kingdom. He didn't get it because he was blind and there was nobody else after Pandu's death. Now, why not get it? That his brother is dead. Why not get it? This royal throne for his children. So if I cannot inherit, let my children inherit. So that was the politics. And this Prabhupada explains that this politics, enviousness, and jealousy has always existed, right? So this is not something new. It existed in previous yugas, Dwapar Yuga. Dhritarashtra wanted that. Now he had this. He was envious and wanted his to get the throne for his children, his for his children, Duryodhana and others. Um, so Prabhupada explains that this politics, enviousness, and jealousy has always existed. This is the nature of this material world. You cannot avoid it. Material world means politics, jealousy, diplomacy, and enviousness, and so many other things, defects. And this is material world. Whereas spiritual world means that just the opposite. There is no politics, there is no jealousy, there is no enviousness. Matsarata, that means enviousness. And not only earthly planet, even heavenly planets, and even among animal kingdom, these things exist. Enviousness and all these. So one man is envious of another. It doesn't matter whether they are brothers or family members. Dhritarashtra and Pandu were two brothers. Their sons, they were family members, and but even among them, this enviousness existed. So Krishna's consciousness movement, Prabhupada explains, is not for the persons who are envious. It is a movement to train people how to become how to become not envious. That is how not to become that is not to become envious. It is a very first class scientific movement, and as we know, this Bhagavad Gita is directly spoken by the Lord Himself. So this is a very powerful scriptures without any defect. Now we get details from the scriptures how not to become envious. And Prabhupada explains that in very shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, it introduces dharma projita ketava atra. That is, this cheating type of religious principle is completely eradicated, thrown away. Projhita. Now, just like Prabhupada gives an example, just like when cleaning a room, you would sweep the room clean, collect all the dirty things from the room, and then you would throw it out, right? You would not keep it within the room. So similarly, this cheating type of religious system is kicked out. Any religious system, if there is a jealousy, that is not religion. So we should understand what is jealousy. Prabhupada explains what is jealousy. Jealousy means that you are the rightful owner of something, but then the other person doesn't allow you to have it or to take it. For example, if you are a rightful owner of something and other person tries that you don't own it, I shall own it, or somebody owns it, I shall not allow that person to own it. This is jealousy. So, what is the rightful ownership of the living entity? Um, that is to be understood. Prabhupada explains what is this birthright. Just like everyone has got right to live under the protection of good government, government should give security of life and property. That is good government, not only for the human beings but even for the animals or for the ants, even for the ants. That is the real, actual good government. Not that you give protection to your family members and you ignore others. That is not. Prabhupada also gives an analogy of the current political scenario where everybody is one political party is envious of the other, very focused on their party, their members. They are not bothered about the other or other people's agenda. So, in a good government would mean that it's not just you, your family, but everyone else in the kingdom, in the nation. So that is how it is. Just like Parikshit Maharaja, the the grandson of Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Parikshit Maharaja, uh, he was even giving protection to the animals also, as we will get to know from Srimad Bhagavatam that while he was on his tour of his kingdom as a king, he saw that a black man was actually trying to kill one cow, and he immediately took out his sword and threatened that person. Who are you? Why are you trying to kill this innocent cow? So that is how the good government needs to be, equal to everyone. So just like God is equal to everyone. So the king or the government must be representative of God. Therefore, according to the Vedic civilization, king is offered as good respect as the supreme personality of Godhead. Why? King is called Naradeva. King is called Naradeva. Naradeva means God in human form because he acts as the representative of God. He is rightful person and he takes care of everybody in the kingdom, all his entire praja, all living entities. And this means a good government or a good ruler, he cannot be jealous of other living entities, at least in his kingdom. And because they are known as praja. Praja means one who has taken birth, uh, and is national, is part of that nation. So Dhritarashtra and his sons were jealous. Now, because they themselves were jealous with such mentality, how could they give protection to the citizens or all the citizens? Now, this is a big thing. Now, he cannot, right? So, under them, you could not have a good government. Maybe they would be favorable to people they consider themselves or their agenda, but not others. So Krishna knew all this. So Krishna sent Akrura as a messenger. We will get the detail from Srimad Bhagavatam. Before kick-starting the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna sent from Dwarka his uncle Akrura as a representative. And he went to Hastinapura, New Delhi, and see what is the situation. So Akrura understood what was happening, what Dhritarashtra was planning. So he talked with him. Why are you implicated in such a planning? Now he's a such a senior personality, and he's envious, or he's planning or contriving such plans to throw Pandavas and serve the kingdom for his children. So Krishna does not want all this. Although Dhritarashtra knew that Krishna was the supreme personality of Godhead, Dhritarashtra said that I know what I'm planning is not good. I know Krishna, he's the supreme personality of Godhead, and he has requested me, but I cannot do without it. He's compelled to act in that envious manner, in spite of knowing what is right, what is wrong, as the kings are actually trained by Brahmanas in the royal. They are the teachers, Brahmanas, and they teach the royal family children how to rule the kingdom and various other things about religion. So he was also trained, but he could not avoid acting envious. He could not stop himself from acting in such a manner, which is not right. So he said that I cannot afford to, but I cannot do without it. I'll end up acting, the way I want to now. So when Krishna will be pleased upon me, maybe I will be. So this is Prabhupada says that this is the position of the materialistic people. A materialistic person knows that he is sinful. What he is doing is wrong, but he cannot check. He cannot stop himself from acting in that manner, wrongful manner. So Prabhupada gives an example of a thief. He knows that stealing is a crime, right? And he will be arrested and he will be punished, but he does it anyway. Why so? Because he has heard it from various other sources and from law books, and he has seen that a thief getting arrested and taken by the police and getting punished, but still he cannot avoid acting, stealing and acting in the wrong, unlawful manner. So Prabhupada gives there are two kinds of experiences. So we got two kinds of experiences. One, by hearing, and the second is by seeing it directly or experiencing it directly. So Prabhupada says that in India and in Bengali, it is called Dekha Shuna. The two kinds of experience by seeing, um, by hearing, and the practical experience that you experience it hand first hand. You know, so one who is intelligent, he gets his experience simply by hearing from the right source. Like when you hear about the scriptures, in this case, Prabhupada's translation of the scriptures. This is right source. He is giving the translation as it is. So this is as good as what Arjuna received from Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Prabhupada translated it as it is. So this is what the intelligent people will do. They will experience this by hearing and from the right source and choosing to act in a right manner. So Prabhupada says that our process of experience is perfect knowledge by hearing. All the scriptures, all the books you get here, uh, in translated by Prabhupada and in ISKCON, what you're getting is perfect knowledge by hearing. It's from the scriptures. So our process is that we are getting experience about the perfect knowledge, the destination of life, and various other details about Krishna and the Jivatma and the material world simply by hearing from Krishna, as we get it from Bhagavad Gita. And the very reason Prabhupada has titled it Bhagavad Gita as it is, because it was very prominent at the time that many people had translated and they had given their own versions of translations of scriptures, and somewhere down the line, it was not perfect. Some had their own agenda, some had deviated from um, in their work in translation of message of God, and some had changed things. So Prabhupada was under the direction of his guru, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. He translated these scriptures, Bhagavad Gita and others, Srimad Bhagavatam, and it involved so much immense effort. Um, During the time when it was the very beginning, initial nascent stage, very initial phase, there was no such funds also, and he had to struggle so much. But anyway, he was successful because he was um, empowered by his guru parampara, and by the Lord himself. So Drishtrashtra. So Prabhupada says that those who are very sinful, they get experience by uh, hearing and by the direct seeing also, but still they cannot check from the sinful activities. This is the condition in the material world. So Dhritarashtra, by his sinful activities, he became so much fallen that he did not hear anybody's advice. Elderly advice he got from his from Bhishma Deva and Vidura's advice. He ignored all that. Uh, that they told him not to plan all this. This is not right. Uh, for a person of his stature. But anyway, he could not. This is what is called mobaya, attachment to his children. Uh, you know, and there was so much enviousness that he was trying to get rid of the Pandavas one way or another. Um, we know from Duryodhana along with Shakuni and all the others, they were planning, and Dhritarashtra, in spite of knowing, he kept a blind eye. Even he was intelligence also was blinded. So they told him that they are the rightful owners, Pandavas, but he ignored them. They are minor, but don't try to cheat them. So when planning for war was complete and the war field was set up at Kurukshetra, we have this in this particular shloka, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. The emphasis Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, which means Dharma Kshetre means that this place of pilgrimage, this Kurukshetra, and people still go to Kurukshetra to observe various religious ritualistic ceremonies, performances. And in the Vedas, there is an injunction, Kurukshetra Dharmam Acharet. If you want to perform some religious ritualistic ceremonies, then go to Kurukshetra. So Kurukshetra is a Dharma Kshetra, it is a place of religion. And especially when Krishna was present there, it automatically becomes a religious place, right? Bhagwan himself is there and he's giving this Updesha. So Shilpapad, while spreading Krishna consciousness across the world, he himself bought many properties which were for setting up ISKCON temples, which were earlier being used for various other purposes. And he changed them into temples, established into temples. So that becomes Dharma Kshetra, religious place. Why? Because Krishna is present there in the temples. So either you take Kurukshetra as an ordinary place where the battlefield was set, um, and Krishna was directing Arjuna. Um, so it inspired, although Kurukshetra was already a Dharma Kshetra, but now that Krishna was giving discourse to Arjuna, and he's present there directly, and he's on the side of the Pandavas, so it automatically becomes Dharma Kshetra. So something Prabhupada says that of great emphasis is earlier people were very trained up in religion. They were very religiously trained, and they did not speak lies in a dharma kshetra, right? They very carefully avoided it. So because of if you do any sin, the result of performing some activity, whether pious or sinful, it gets quadrupled or multiplied into 1,000 times or 1 lakh times, and so some details is mentioned in Padma Purana. So whether if you do sinful activities, it's very too much of negative effect. If you do some pious activities, it gets amplified, right? So people were aware. So here it is mentioned, Samaveta Yujutsava, Mamakaha Pandavas. Samaveta means assembled, Yujutsava desiring to fight, Mamakaha, my party, sons, that is the Dhritarashtra is saying, and Pandava, the sons of Pandu, the other party. So what is the purpose? The purpose is Yujutsava. Jujutsu is used, Prabhupada says that it is used as in Japan as a term for fighting, those who are desirous of fighting. So both the parties were desiring to fight and they were assembled there, And Prabhupada says that why is he asking such a question? Kim Akurvata. What did they do? Why such a question? Because he was very doubtful that these boys, after being assembled in Dharmakshetra, they might have changed their ideas. He was doubtful that knowing that it is a religious place and knowing his children, he was doubtful that they would change their plan. That is, they would agree to settle up. No, they didn't. But yeah, so so Dhritarashtra was very fearful of this thing. He knew that it is a holy place. It's a battle, chosen as a battlefield, and being Arjuna and the Pandavas being pious, religious, not sinful, not envious, it would favor them because they were very virtuous. So he was worried about that. Um, so Prabhupada says, why is he asking such a question? Because he gives another example. He was very anxious. Because he was blind and he was getting the detail from Sanjay, his secretary. Um, Sanjay was empowered, right? He, although very faithful secretary, he is explaining this Bhagavad Gita by experiencing. Prabhupada says that earlier, he says that earlier people, there is like a television within the heart. This is like a art, television within the heart. So you could see, experience what was happening directly within the heart. People were empowered, or they were very they had this art earlier. They were aware of this thing and they had developed this art, so they could do that. And Sanjay was a disciple of Vyasadeva. So he was empowered by Vyasadeva, and he learned this art of televisioning. So therefore, he was sitting in the room with his master, Dhritarashtra, who was blind, and he was giving this live commentary, uh, word by word, by actually seeing it, how the fighting is going on, and what was planning, what was happening. Um, so that he was doing because he was empowered. Um, so Dhritarashtra asked, what is the question of what did he do? What were they doing? So when it is, Prabhupada says that when it is already settled up that they were there to fight, there was no such question as Kim Akurvata. What did they do? It was expected, right? They would fight, and he was very doubtful that they would come to an agreement. So he was asking Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. He was asking his secretary, and so this is the beginning of this Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada has given a summary in the introduction what you will experience when you read Bhagavad Gita, all the detail. Um, so Prabhupada gives summary of all that in the introduction, what to expect. So this Krishna, Prabhupada says that this Krishna consciousness is scientific science, right? It's a science. It's a spiritual science, and Bhagavad Gita is spoken live by Bhagwan himself. So to it's actually for all living entities, but as it mentioned earlier, it's not for envious people. So, so by practicing the Krishna consciousness, by reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, um, one can become a Mahan Atma or Mahatma, because it will purify the contamination from our heart, and it will make us um, it will reveal our real spiritual nature, our constitutional position. That is, we are eternally servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we get to know about what is Sambandha, Abhideya, Priyojana, what is our relationship with the Supreme, what is the relationship of Jiva Atma with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan, and we get details about the nature, Prakriti, Jivatma, Kala, and consciousness, and and Supreme Personality of God Himself. And so, what is our sambandha? What is priyojana? How to establish, how to act in that relationship, um, and what is the prayojan? What is the goal of perfection? What is the goal of practicing Krishna consciousness? Um, that is Krishna prema, or going back home, back to Godhead, freeing ourselves from the cycle of birth and death. So, this is just the beginning of this Bhagavad Gita, the 1.1, and there's more detail with every shloka. As Krishna, when Krishna sees that Arjuna is in doubt, and Arjuna begs Krishna to remove his doubt later, he gives all the perfect information to Arjuna, and he gives him choices, the various yoga systems. He explains and removes all his doubts, and which comes on this basic platform of religion. The, when this doubt is removed, Arjuna makes a choice that he should act in the service of Krishna, his Bhagwan, his master. So that is the perfection. So serving Supreme Personality of Godhead, uh, that is the constitution of the Jiva. He is always servant of the Lord. And what better can be there just than serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So this is the beginning. So thank you, Prabhuji Mataji. Thanks for joining. And in case if anybody has any question, please ask before we log off. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So if nobody has any question,
Prabhuji, just got a small doubt.
yeah, please.
Who was the guru of Pandu and Dhritarashtra, Prabhuji, suddenly? Was it Bhishma who trained them or somebody else?
Uh, so we warfare. We know Dronacharya taught them. So
Dronacharya taught Kauravas and Pandavas,
yes, yes, yeah,
but whether Dhritarashtra and Pandu,
ha, ha,
I,
ha.
I suddenly got a doubt when you were telling
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the difference in the
correct.
nature between the two people. If
Ha,
they had the same guru, if same again Duryodhana and Arjuna had
yeah,
difference in the nature, both of them. Again, Dhritarashtra and Pandu, they
correct,
have
correct.
natures different. So I'll just find out in case I
Ha,
get it.
yes,
But
yes.
that is
So
interesting to know.
yeah, yeah. So we get this detail from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam,
Hmm.
that we time because we have been in this material from time immemorial. This is not our first birth. So even
Yes.
this Dhritarashtra and Pandavas, that was not their first birth. So I
Hmm.
don't remember the detail what they did in the previous lives, but we get
Hmm.
detail about Bhishma Deva, what he was in the previous life. He was a Vasu,
Hmm.
and how he ended up in this thing because of so and so thing, and he was aware of his past life also, and he was there to rectify that and go back to his
Hmm.
original state. So Bhishma Deva, um, he was a very he is a Mahajana. We know that there are 12 Mahajanas, and Bhishma Deva is one of them. So he's a very
Hmm.
rightful person, and he elderly member as an elderly member of the family, both
Hmm.
Pandavas and Kurus, the children of Dhritarashtra.
Hmm.
He was not he was fair to both of them, and he would guide Kurus, Dhritarashtra's children, also not to do wrong things, but they ignored him because they had personal
Hmm.
choice, right? And
Hmm.
Bhishma Deva decided not to rule anyway, not to sit on the throne because of his vow. So
Hmm.
it was up to them. So we get detail from scriptures that Jiva is given free will by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and
Hmm.
because this is not our first birth, because of the
Hmm.
impact of the previous karma, prarabdha
Hmm.
karma, we get in
Hmm.
life, and in this life, we also get the previous life's impressions also, samskaras,
Hmm.
and
Yes.
that is how you would either end up taking birth in a Brahmana family, or Kshatriya family, or a Vaishya family, or a Shudra family, or even less than that, right? Completely
Hmm.
irreligious. So that is because of our past karma. You will get an opportunity to take birth, um, and you, as a because this human life, you have, this is called as karma yoni. In this life, you have a choice to get rid of the effects of past lives karma also, and choose to
Hmm.
act a pious life, right? As
Hmm.
we get
Hmm.
from Krishna consciousness. But in other species, even in the heavenly planetary system, you're actually bhog yoni, right? You're enjoying the effects of your previous life. You're not these animals. They don't incur new karma when it tiger or lion eats deer or
Mm-mm.
anything. It is not punished for that. That's his nature, and it is in that body because of his past lives karma. So Dhritarashtra, the way he acted, he took birth in a very royal family, and he got this
Mm.
because of so and so piety he would have done, because of his past lives, other impressions or prarabdha karma. He was acting forced to act in such and such way because he said that he knows that this is what Krishna is saying, right? I should not do this, but I cannot control myself. I cannot check myself because of his
Mm.
attachment for his children. And
Yes.
Pandavas, by nature, we know how Kunti Devi got these children, um, because she was very power. She served Dronacharya, and she was very um, pious religious person, and she was empowered by Dronacharya with a mantra. I think it was Dronacharya because she served him as a very young child, and she got these children by mantra, right?
Yes.
This is how it is. So as Prabhupada has always emphasized, it is not by birth, whether you are a Brahmana or Kshatriya or Vaishya, that thing. So, in by your nature, how you act in this life dictates where it will take you, right? So, by nature,
Yes.
if you are a Kshatriya, you will tend to take up activities which are related to Kshatriya. If you're a Brahminical person, by nature, you will be driven towards scriptures and the lifestyle of Brahmana, right?
Mm.
And so this is how it is. If you are a mercantile, um, you will be driven towards that kind of work activities. So we'll get details in the Bhagavad Gita, the karma and activities related to each
Yes,
varna
Babaji.
ashrama, varna ashrama. So,
Yes,
thank,
Babaji.
so yeah, thank you,
Thank you so
Mataji.
much, Babaji.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
Hari
much.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for joining. So if nobody has, yeah. So we'll call it a day. We'll log off. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Dandavad
Prabhuji,
Pranam.
Dandavat
Thank you very
Pranam,
much, Prabhu.
pranams to
Hare
everybody.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dhanyavad.
Krishna, Mataji, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.